Welcome to the Nest Digital Podcast, your gateway to tech, innovation, work life fusion, and so much more. Join us as we converse with industry leaders, visionaries, and trailblazers shaping the tech landscape. Let's navigate the digital world together.
A very warm good afternoon to everyone. And when I say this, that is literally warm out here because of the weather.
True.
It's actually a pleasure to have you all, a few of you offline and many of you online, as part of the final discussion which we have organized. This is in connection with the International Women's Day activities that we are running in the organization. So, for those who have joined online and offline, can we have a round of applause, please? Let me move on to introduce our esteemed panelists for today. I'll start from the middle. This is a person whom I had a chance to meet recently, and she delivered a power session on growth mindset to our leadership team. This was the audience combining both Nest Digital and our manufacturing unit. Ladies and gentlemen, pleasure to introduce Rakhi Vijay Nair. She's a founder of Vajra Learning Solutions, a sought-after leadership coach, passionate about creating more women leaders at workfront and the community. She's worked with big brands like the Emirates and Travelport LLC. I've seen her in action doing training programs, and she is very active in terms of training programs like entrepreneurial skills, team building, public speaking. Our training program is predominantly based on psychology that she had delivered. She's on board the managing committee of WEL. She's also part of the ISTD, which is the International Society for Training and Development. She's a board member of Chinmay Group of Institutions, and her hobbies includes dancing, theatre, and traveling, apart from making new friends. One more round of applause to our esteemed panelists. Up next, I am a good friend of mine, so I don't need notes to read out what she is and who she is. I always love to say stories when I'm talking about people or incidents. By designation, she holds a very strong role as part of the Customs Office. She's an assistant commissioner with the Customs Office. Now, what makes her special is our association with the Toastmasters International. Toastmasters International has got a recognition which is the highest individual recognition any Toastmaster can get. And that's a distinguished Toastmaster. And this particular person has got it for 3 times. So it doesn't happen by accident. You have to strive for it. You have to exhibit a lot of leadership qualities for it. That's on one side. Apart from that, I know that she's a powerful speaker. She's a great leader. And what I've seen is many times we get into panic situations when running a meeting or having to do a new program, host a new program. We run into technical issues, and I've seen this person stand like a sodding pillar and only nod her head and say, "Okay, let's see what we can do." Lot of love and a pleasure bringing distinguished Toastmaster by our title, or otherwise Assistant Commissioner, distinguished Toastmaster Beena was. A round of applause for her. Now, I have a fight to settle after this because I plan I'm okay only for the guests. So, this person sitting amongst us doesn't need a lot of introduction, especially to the healthcare business unit. She has been very vocal in terms of project delivery or people management. She's been with us for more than 14 years, if I'm not mistaken. So that's a lead engineer from the healthcare business unit. Friends, a round of applause for Rishma. Now let me get straight into business. Now, panel discussion typically goes around in a way where there are questions that have been given to the panelists, and they come up with their responses based on their experience and expertise. Now, I've chosen a topic. It took me a little time to elaborate the topic to most of them. I've chosen a topic on inclusion. The International Women's Day theme this year, if you go and look up the International Women's Day site, you will see this word inspire inclusion. Now, the International Women's Day Committee is putting a strong focus in terms of including everyone as part of the work, irrespective of their gender, caste, creed, languages they spoke, their orientation, anything for that matter. So inclusion is a topic which has been talked at big seriousness in almost all the boardrooms. Now I've put this question that if women need to be included, where does it begin? Does it begin by them being a part of it, or them taking inclusion as a privilege and having it? In other words, do you provide inclusion to people and then they come and take it, or there is an active participation or active initiative from women folks to be included in anything that is happening? So whether it is give or a take is the summary of what the topic that we've come up with. So I will probably start with Rakhi in terms of your take. Should women create a mark for themselves in a diversity crowd, or they need programs or initiative consciously to foster inclusion? What's your take?
Okay, I'd like to start, since it is a close-ended question, but I'd like to start with an open mind. Probably a story of mine. Yeah. This happened in September 16th, precisely, 2003, when I delivered my son in May. And I got an opportunity to travel to UK as a part of ILM to pursue, the ILM prestigious post-graduation in leadership from UK. And then when because I had written my exams, and out of, I believe, around 600 people, only 60 people were chosen to go to UK. I was one amongst them. But as a matter of fact, even my family didn't appreciate that fact. I still remember that day. And when I told my mother, she was at my home, my son, small son, younger one. And then when I reached, because there was not much of warmth, that was appreciated, that I got this, because I need to travel, I need to be there for 1.5 years in UK. And when I reached home, I thought that maybe they didn't know the real significance of this particular scholarship program. When I reached home, again, it was a very cold response from my family. But when I had told my husband also same cold response, I was very upset about it. I couldn't sleep that particular day. So the next day morning, I wake up my husband and I told him, why are you not telling me anything? He said, Rakhi, are you mad? That how can you leave a 4-month-old child and go to UK, stay there for 1.5 years? And I just told him one thing. I may forget, but I will never forgive you for this. Okay? But I just need your support. I don't need your decision. Because I know that I'm capable of taking my own decisions. Even my GM, the training, she's a lady. She said, are you really going? You have a child, right? But then I took the decision. That's where the point comes in, that I tried for vaccines. And I did that. Long story short, I realized one thing, being away from my child for 8 months, that's the maximum time that I've spent with him. You know why? Because I used to travel, early morning flight. Of course, I was privileged to be a part of Emirates Airlines. I used to travel Monday morning and then come back on Thursday evening. And all the rest of the time, I'm with my child, all the time. Of course, I still regret, or maybe not regret much, for not nursing him after that 4th month. But yes, of course, I have to take that decision. And seriously, I'm telling you, long story cut short. When I look back now, I'm one amongst those 10 women, perhaps 10 people who have got that certification in India. So I'm really proud that I've taken my decision. So coming to the point that you asked, okay, I strongly believe that the true gender equality, or perhaps the inclusiveness, has got 2-pronged approaches. That is, one is we have to strive for the excellence as women, and also we need to consciously take an effort to build up a community which actually includes policies and cultures, which foster that kind of an environment. This would be my take.
Thank you, Rakhi. I particularly picked up that point where you said that when you were away, that was probably the time where you could give undivided attention to your child. That was very heartening to hear. Wait a minute.
No, Raki has touched on the most important point. So, what I would like to say from my point of view was, I used to be posted in a customs preventive unit where we were looking into the smuggling part of the organization. So we are mostly looking at smuggling, which means that usually airports are the places where gold come and go. Now the problem is that the flights come post 2 a.m., which means that somebody dictates a case, and unfortunately, if there is a woman allowed, there has to be a woman officer. So you will be gently picked up. Now, in that case, how can I be a better officer without the support system? You talk about inclusivity, and women are being included. I know that women are now they are running, flying airlines or even JCB. Women are there into every sphere of life. There's no doubt about it, and we feel ourselves capable. But how are we supported to be an inclusive person? Do we have the support? And I remember the time when I was alone and I literally locked up my daughter in a flat and I had to go for my work. Because if I say that I cannot come, if I give an excuse that I cannot be there at any point of time, I will not be called for the next case. I consider to be, giving excuses. That is one thing. They really don't work. So the most part I would feel is, it's not about gender. Let's forget about gender equality. Let's be individuals. And are we providing this support system for our colleague to perform better? Just think of it. We all carry our bags when we come home. I'm not talking about the bag where you keep your purse and all that. But there is a lot of burden that we carry when we come to our office. You don't know what more. Your child might be sick or your family member might. But irrespective of the fact that we turn up every single day. And those are the things that has to be addressed now. It's not about the inclusivity. It will happen at a point of time because women are coming up. But what about the support system? Are we here to support them when they make it into their field of inclusivity?
Thank you, Vidhan. I particularly picked up the fact it's not the gender, it's about the individual. I think that's the message that we all have to, take back, not just for today, I think for every day. Moving on to you, Srishma. Do you believe that there needs to be a process, policy, or mechanism to support women, or women go ahead and claim it, or women go ahead and prove that yes, they're there?
So from my point of view, as ma'am has talked about this word, that support, right? So as Rakhi ma'am shared the experience of delivering a child and all, so I would like to share my experience as well, where I have been privileged to get the support from my family as well as from the colleagues here. So what is it like is when I decided to take a break from career for delivering the child, the question from my mother-in-law was like the same, are you really mad to take a break from your career for bringing up your child? Because she is one lady that I have seen very brave, very bold lady. She is a working woman, retired now, but her policies are very, what I can say is very, she is a very dignified person. So her reaction was like that. It's really needed. So then after taking the break, when I came back, including my husband and the in-laws, their main aim was to help me to make my career, build my career back. So that's how after a 2.5 break, I came back to Nest in 2018. So I feel very much privileged and honored to get that support system. And also, I would say I made use of that as I used that opportunity, and now I am here sitting among these two brave ladies. It's a great opportunity. I'm having this opportunity for the very first time to have an audience like this and talk like this. So it's the point is that we should make use of the opportunity. The platform is being set, or it's kind of set. So we have to make use of the opportunities, step forward rather than waiting for others to bring into us. Yeah.
Thank you, Shrishma. Again, particular pick in terms of the support system that you called out. And one thing that I really noticed is that it is always women who acknowledge and call out that yes, I have a support system. We men, unfortunately, despite having strong support systems, we're generally reluctant to say that. That's something which I mean, personal observation. Now, moving on, we will touch upon a little bit on the career aspect here. So, for a change, I'll start with you, Vinay. I mean, another thing that we hooked on when you talk about this smuggling, right? We see on movies or posters are always been somebody who is, a strong man in a decked up uniform with a cap and stuff like that. So I would say quite an untouched area when in olden times when it comes to women. Tough job, strong job, all that. How had been your journey through that?
No, when I joined the office, there used to be night duties, which was predominantly taken by men. Women were not allowed, also I'd say, because in the situation that we work on, there will be stories.
There's a social stigma also attached.
There will be stories, and that is what I think every woman should be scared of. The thing is that you rub a person the wrong way, and then the stories. Nobody checks its veracity. And that was the time when I joined the department, and there used to be, we used to get overtime. It's quite an amount. We didn't want to
forgo that.
Then we decided that we have to ask, right? And I asked. The moment I joined the department, there was a training in the police training center in Thrissur, arms training. And I gave a willingness. And I was just ridiculed by my boss to be even thinking about it. So he just called me and he asked, "Are you a woman?" I said, "What did I do?" "No, this is for men. You will not survive the police training center." So you send me and then tell me whether I will survive or not. I will make my survival possible when you send me. Okay, the long story short, they did not send me because there is not then that is the first time ever a woman has tried. Now, after some time, in our department, we have to send our foot out and say that I am ready to do this, because they are in that stereotype of the older generation who used to never be there, because they, like I said, there is no support system for a woman. Like if I take a night duty, who's there to look after my family, my job? It's again my job, right? So nobody used to just look into it. But at that point of time, there were some, the fire in the blood kind of women who were there, and who were still known in the department for all the nonsensical things, in the sense, like outside the norms. We were the ones to say that, no problem, you just do it. I remember one of the times when I was in charge of Cochin refineries, you've seen that big, that huge massive tanks in which they store the oil.
Yeah.
It's quite high. So the thing is, if when an export happens, you had to check the level. And how they do is, you literally climb onto the tank and then insert a small string with a small plumb on the bottom, and then they will insert till it touches the oil. Then they take the string and then calculate the length. There is a procedure. Now it is computerized. I am talking about 2014s and all that, 2014. So then they said, "Ma'am, you stand there. I'll go up and I'll tell you how it is." I said, "No, I'm willing to climb." So he just looked at me and said, "Can you really climb?" I said, "Of course." Then he said, "It is not that easy." It might not be easy. Let me just try. I can always come down. Then he asked me the question, "That's okay to get up, but how will you get up?" Even then I said, "It's okay. I want to give a try." You want to get into a smaller
There is a smaller turn. I said, no, this is where I have to be. I'll be here. So again, coming to it's difficult, but at times, again, I'm going to the first question. Sometimes you need to communicate that you are ready to take that risk, or you're ready to do something new. Otherwise, you will just be categorized into the past, the stereotype that has been in the department. In every department, we'll have a stereotype, right? The women would have been like that, and then along comes 2 or 3 persons who wants to do. But then they look around, they cannot change, because who wants to be a crow among the dogs or dove among the crows or whatever? It takes a lot of effort to be different, and sometimes you have to do that, and that makes all the difference.
I get the point that it's difficult but never impossible to break the stereotypes. Moving on to you, Rakhi. Psychology, I understand. We've heard many noble names. But a leadership trainer, a career coach, again, I would say it's still coming up among the women's side. How had been your shift? How had been your transformation journey there?
It's a very wonderful question, because thank you for observation. And actually, the psychology is actually tabooed for the women, more of women psychologists. But I have a different story to say, actually. I call this as a second innings for me, because when it comes to my career personally, more than passion, I call it as a calling. Okay? And it clearly stemmed from witnessing, okay, lots of what I would say is that, trying to discover myself, okay, being empowered by myself, okay, and also I have a very powerful ecosystem of great people who think alike, because most of them are into the second innings, okay. They had their job, a corporate job, which definitely I was into training also when I was there. However, we had certain system, okay, in place where we need to abide to that. But here, when it comes to the part of process, the way that we look into right now as a leadership coach, yes, as you rightly said, this lingers in our mind that, okay, when it comes to leadership and as well as the authority, it's with masculine. However, still, because I am dealing with people, I would say I am actually supported and cared by a group of people who doesn't think about the gender bias. They're only focused and determined about navigating their own career journey, okay, with a lot of passion, compassion, clear, confident, because it's the second innings, they can't go wrong with that, okay. And I'm also into that path of self-discovering myself, so I really don't have the energy to look into what is happening around. So if somebody asks me, who is your competitor? I said, it's me. I don't know who is my competitor, because I tried to be my better version than today. But yes, of course, what I would suggest all of you from my perspective is that there are some traits that you need to imbibe if you need to be in that process or the system. So naming few of them: continuous learning. Okay, a leader is a leader. There's no option towards it. Adaptability, and create a community where there is a proper understanding. This is for the HR also, I would suggest you, is that have a proper mentoring approach. Everybody sitting here need a mentor, isn't it so? Do you all agree with that? Sometimes we all lack that. Yeah, whom we should ask for. It could be for a personal support, a psychological support. So it's there the coach comes in. So we need to create a culture of coaching. So if you have to be a coach, I need to be a good coachee also. So right now, if you ask me, I have got more mentors and coaches than earlier. And not necessarily they are senior to me. They are younger than me actually, because they have a different perspective altogether. Okay, so definitely that unlocking that, if you need to unlock your potential, okay, you need to be really focused and using your energy in that particular way rather than talking about what the society is talking about. And friends, create a community of people who can influence you or you can influence them, so that the negative energy doesn't impact you at all. Create that community. As Beena always said, we need to have a community away from your office system. Do you have that? What do you think, like when you retire from Nest, what are you going to do? Have you ever thought about it? but we all have a wonderful community waiting for us outside. And that have taught me a lot of lessons rather than what I'm learning in this while I was in the system. But that would be my take.
Thank you so much for stressing the importance of community and the power of mentoring. Now, those are very valuable inputs for us. I'll move on to, Srishma. A little bit about your career journey, where you started from.
So I belong to a background itself. So I belong to a very normal family, very conservative, religious family, I would say. But the privileges for girls, the freedom, as we talk today, it was very less at that time during my childhood. So we have the opportunity for education and everything, yes, it is there. But still, for many aspects, I have a brother. When in the childhood, we all has that feelings, right? Like they are getting more privileges than me. So we makes the complaint, but it's useless. But still, after the formal education, I was able to move to other city. I would say that was the transformation period of my lifetime. Like that made us independent, like staying alone, away from our parents. Like we are taking care of ourselves, being independent. We are seeing the world, seeing the people around us, understanding the things and all. So that was really a life-changing period. So that's where I started the career, joined West in 2010. So in Infobag Trivandrum. So from there, I was there for 5 years. So seeing different people from different geographies, different cultures. So adapting to that, learning many things from them. So as ma'am said, getting a few good mentors as well. So that really framed out my career as well as framed my personality as well, I would say that. Then again, I said I took the break, right? So after that, I joined back here in Cochin in 2019. So after that break time, it was like I have traveled a lot during that time, along with my family. So that was also a good experience. There also we had a good community of friends and all. Then again coming back to office, it was like for 2.5 years I was fully with my baby, listening to the rhymes, the cartoons and everything. Even actually I would say like I lost that typing speed as well. Means being a software engineer, I had a 4 to 5 experience before that. So I lost that complete touch. Any coding logic, I would say that as well. Even that typing speed, everything was out of my hands that time. So then that point came like I should start. So I had that feeling again because of the way that I have grown up. I was actually not much open to communicate that to my husband and to my family. But I'm lucky that I got a family that was too supportive for me. So they made an environment that was very helpful for me, and I made use of that. I didn't step behind like, no, it's difficult. It will be difficult for you as well. Take care of my child for me. But I also made use of the situation, their support and all. I joined here. Here also again I would like to mention the name that the architect that was there at that time. It was Deepa. Again a woman who was very supportive. She was a very good mentor. She understood my situation, like she has a break, so what kind of support is required for her. She was very clear about that. That was the support I got from her. Again, I doubt if it was some male person,
it
the
may not
situation
have
would be different. Yeah. So it was much helpful that I also worked hard, like 9-10 hours. I had to get back to that momentum, how the colleagues among me was working. So that was a difficult period for maybe 3 to 4 months, but still I could make it, and now I'm here. So that's it. Even the support of the mentors, the family, it's all very important to come forward and bring up the career.
Thank you. Thank you, Srishma. I think moving away from your comfort zone, trying a different geography altogether, at times being alone, and then taking the help that has been, that is around you. I think all their corporate experiences does deserve a big round of applause. Now, what open question anyone can pick up and answer this? Tell us a big corporate battle that you fought. Probably you're thinking which battle you're talking about.
No, for me, you don't pay tax, we pick up a bat. So it is basically on rules and regulations, right? But I'd like to touch upon the other point to all those women out here, and for the men too. What I'm telling you is, like you should have your soul, Rakhi said, you should have your soul tribe. And that's the soul tribe is the only thing that is going to help you navigate your life. When I say the soul tribe, I remember the time when I used to be a regular housewife, a regular professional, office, coming back to home, looking after the kids, until I joined the dance class. And that is where my thought process in entirety changed. And my teacher told me that there is nothing wrong in taking time out for yourself.
Yeah.
And how many of you do that? Do you have a hobby? Can't you take 1 hour of yours for a hobby that you want to pursue? We don't do it, right? Because we feel that we might be selfish, or I don't know. So that is why if you look at my journey of being, there are a lot of women in my office who are not like it. Or maybe I'd say that in the customers that I work in, 90% of the women are the same. They just come to office, go back. There is nothing, no personal development, nothing. Like Rakhi said, continuous learning. Learn something. And that you should not stop, because the moment you stop learning, you're going to be stagnant. Be it a hobby or something. It is not necessary in it. Or work-wise, obviously, like since you are a software engineer like us, we have to keep ourselves updated. That learning will happen. I lose my job if I am not in touch with the rules and regulations. You know, something as innocuous as Greenpeace. How dangerous can be Greenpeace? But it can affect my career. I get a suspension just because of a Greenpeace. I'll tell you why. Greenpeace cannot be imported through Cochin port, but it can be imported through Calcutta port. Now, if a shipping bill comes, the bill of entry comes, and I just assess it, I said, okay, chalo, you win Greenpeace, and the audit is going to pick it up, and I'm going to lose my job. So that way, you know, we have to, like Rakhi also, she has to keep abreast of the things that is happening in her coaching field, her psychological field. I have to keep, you also have to, right? Every day something new is coming. I'm not talking about that. I'm not talking about the profession that you have to do, but something else other than your profession. And that is where your redemption is, as well as my personal opinion is concerned.
Don't pick the hobby of exporting Greenpeace. That's what you have to say. Anything from your side?
I just would like to add on one thing. Yes, wherever we are, one thing we need to understand. Once we become a professional, we're under radar. When I say radar, don't take it in a negative way. It's because, people are looking up to you. Whether it is the senior people or to the other people. So we need to be very sensitive. We need to be very sensible and sensitize any situations. And I would say, take your own decisions. We are all completed 18 years, right? Yeah? Decisions, probably whatever decision that you take may end up wrong also. But sometimes we cannot end up. But I'm sure that you all will agree that we all have made mistakes. Isn't it so? So let's not fear failures for that matter. And definitely that is where we need to have, I would say, ecosystem again. But coming to that point of corporate battle, just a story came into my mind. May I share?
Yes.
Okay. So this happened long ago again. Don't think that I'm old, but still. Okay. So when I started my career with HR, and seriously I'm telling you, I don't know whether Jessie will let me, sometimes it becomes very monotonous. Okay, it's the same thing that is happening around. And the battle that I have I was very much aware of it. However, when it really hit me, I was not able to take it up. For example, in Dubai, okay, especially in Emirates, it's basically, even if I am holding a position, okay, the person who is junior might be an Arab or Indian foreign national, they'll be drawing much more salary than me, whereas their tasks and this thing will be lesser to me. So this actually, even though it's easy for us to accept it, but it is taxing sometimes, it pricks you a lot. No, so then I decided, no, I'm not going to stay here stagnant. So I was looking for something which is like what we call as a dirty job. That means nobody wants to touch that. I realized one thing from one of my senior. If that challenge that you can take, convert that into an opportunity. So I'm just bringing your attention to any job, which we call this an impact player. I would recommend all of you to read that book from Liz Wiseman. It's an impact player. It's an amazing book actually, especially very much prone towards the corporates. Yeah. So it says that if you're just doing a project that is you think that is satisfying your needs and your ability, no, you are not actually making a difference in the organization. Are you doing a project which is actually the talk of the town, where the meeting rooms are available, where people are really talking about it, and the manager finds it difficult and the resources are available? Be a part of that. Don't wait for anybody to come to you. Ask for it. So that story, just quickly I'll tell you, because I know respecting the time. So there was when I was working with HR, even though we are very much not directly associated with the medical part of it, but what happens is that we used to have medical only weekly twice. Okay, that is Thursdays, especially Thursdays and Mondays. Now the problem is many people come, they get the job, but they have to do the medical process. So what happens? The people from the Poeti Hospital come to our department to do the medical. Now, predominantly, what happens? It's a long queue, and if they are not able to complete that, the next day the visa is expiring, and you know that. Now, it's basically we need to be very compassionate about it. So many people have actually lost it, and they have to again come back, and then a lot of money, a lot of procedures and processes involved in that. So I just raised a question to my HR manager or a senior person that why are we having it only on those Mondays and Thursdays? And probably you can assume the answer, that is how it is. I said, is there any way of changing it? Then he just simply asked me, can you do that? Then I take it as a challenge. I took it as a challenge. Why not? So I said, can you guide me? What should I do? I'll see if I can do. Then I coordinated with one of my friends. So his auntie is a nurse in Kuwaiti hospital. So he just told me these are the protocol because I have to inform my organization, right? So then we went there. We spoke to people. I had a nice presentation, what was happening with the data and all that stuff. And then I went and spoke to their, the admin people, senior admin people. You know what, to our surprise, when we tried to convince, because we are taking a lot of money to the hospital also, right? He said, okay, if that is the case, the data that's promising, we will assign a person full week from IN. Was it a game changer, guys? Absolutely. Okay? So what I would suggest you is that, so then you know what, after that I got a name, Medical Rakhi. Because if anybody needs medical, I'm happy with that name, I'm okay with that tagline. But I feel that I've made a difference. So what I'm trying to say that we all look for that position to make a difference. You don't need to. You still can do that. So pick up something that everybody don't try to risk or whatever it is. Work on that as a team. That consider that battle as your opportunity. I would probably put it that way. That would require a lot of patience. You will have 100 people against you, but one person stands with you. Who is that person? That's you. Simple as that.
At times, pick up the right battles and pick up the dirty ones. Probably that's something that I learned from your discussion.
Yeah.
All right. So again, for the positive time, we go on to another one. And let me also remind you, if anyone from the audience has a question, please be ready. And those who are watching this online, if you could directly message Deepak if you have a question. Deepak is holding his teams open to receive any questions that you have for the panelists. I go on to a very cliche one. There is always this thing that we talk about, a glass ceiling. Right? Somewhere you do everything, but you hit a glass ceiling that stay there. The others, maybe it's a different national altogether, or it's a man who goes up and then grabs the limelight. Have you experienced that? Has someone blocked you anywhere, of course without taking the names? Has someone blocked you in the career? how did you deal with it? Maybe I'll start from Srishma. Have you had any experience like that?
So currently, actually, I didn't have that experience like someone has blocked me as such. But still, as you step up the ladder, definitely will face challenges. Yeah, like we should be competitive, right? But then only we can also move forward. But so far I haven't experienced any negative things from this industrial experience.
Good to hear that. I think we all deserve a round of applause there. Rakhi, anything from yours?
Many stories actually. I would just make it currently what is happening in my industries, even if I'm dealing with my own community. However, how the society, okay, see for example, if I ask you, if you want to have a person for a marketing training, you might go for a male. Right? Okay? Because there is a taboo that sales and marketing is meant for men still. Okay? It's changing actually. So that is where we have been sidelined. Okay? And when it comes to, I would say, a residential team building, like for example, I do a lot of vigorous team building outbound. Okay? So it's mainly for the masculine thing, climbing the trekking and then climbing the mountains and all this. So they think that only a man can lead that, facilitate that. So that is where I would like to break that glass ceiling. Yes, we can do it. We are enough. Okay? Because I think she has narrated the same story about it. She has climbed that tank. So kudos to her, right? So we all are doing it actually one way or the other. But still the society, it's a society or the policies needs to be looked into, and it requires a lot of dual root cause analysis to understand why it is remaining. Whether we have a lot of finance minister is also lead, but still it is happening. It's transforming, but it still take time. Thank you.
Thank you. Anything from you, Veena?
No, ours is a bureaucracy. Right? We have specific things. Everything is there. Everything negative we would say is there in the thing, in our system. Because it is basically process oriented. You cannot, there is no chance to be creative. You be creative, you lose your job. Okay, for example, a postal parcel comes. I know that it is a gift or it is used books, but duty has to be charged. The 77%. I cannot say that a father is sending a cake for her birthday. Now let me just give it off without any duty, because 77.26% means you buy something for 1,000 rupees from abroad and send it to your near and dear in Kerala, you have to pay another 1,000 rupees as duty. So that is how it is. So we cannot be creative. Now the only thing that we can do is, be nice to one another. I happen to be the public grievance officer for the entire customs. And you won't believe the kind of phone calls that I have to take every single day. And sometimes you get sick of being nice. Really sick of being nice, that you literally feel that I can snap at it. I have the power to snap at it. Nobody is going to tell you. I'm a person in power. But to use that power not to snap is where it makes a difference. So we all have the power for a lot of things. But can we use that power for the better things? And that is how I survive in my office. If I look for negativity, there will be just negativity all around. And one thing is, you won't believe the kind of misogyny that is there. Like women bosses they're incapable, they're not good. And even if you do something, it is not even given a mark. It's easy for them to disobey because those things don't happen. But again, on top of that, don't look into all those things. Just putting your best so that make them come back to you. The idea is in making them come back to you, and for that you have to be more knowledgeable. You have to keep yourself abreast so that they don't have any chance to point a finger at you and tell that, like, അവരുടെ അടുത്ത് ഫയൽ വിട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞാൽ അത് പൊക്കോളും. And that is one thing that we have to be careful in our department, because I get additional charges of another person who's on leave. Here, I don't know, do you have it here? No.
At times, yes.
We have link officers.
Okay.
Like if I'm not there, my job is to be done by another person. And that would be something that I might not I have not been aware of, no clue about. For the last 1 week, 2 weeks I've been looking after drawback, and this 2 weeks I'm looking after legal. I have absolutely no clue of what legal is. And they'll just put up the file and I'll have to sit and read through. Because anytime you will be pulled up by your boss, and then you cannot cut a sorry figure in front of your boss, right? So that effort has to be put in, right? And every file, when I look at it, I look at it in a way that I will be called up by my boss. These are the questions that would be asked, so prepare for it. So if you make that excellence as a part of your habit, it should be a habit. You, in my, especially in yours, I think it's specific, precise, right? But in our office, it can go. I say that Anumodhanartha Prastudha. That is the only thing I have to do, because it is being looked into by 2 other officers. And all I need is to just click one simple sentence, Anumodhanartha Prastudha, and it will go to my boss. But there is a choice of not doing that. Going into each and every line of the file and understanding the matter and setting it. So that if you ask me, everybody is doing it, no, they might not be doing it. But are you the person who's doing it is what makes a difference. And that is the game changer question, I think. I can do it in a way that is not touching to perfectionism, or I can do it just the way it can. But what is your choice? And I think that choice is what makes a difference all the time.
Thank you. I think those 3-4 minutes had a lot of things to take away. We talk about making excellence a habit, know where to use your power, and let people come back to you for more. I think a lot of things that we get. I have one last question, but before I move in there, anyone from the audience has any questions to the panelists? Are we missing Deepak? Okay. No. Anyone has any questions to the panelists?
It's okay if it doesn't make any sense also.
Yeah, it's okay to ask bad questions also, is what they say.
Yeah, it's okay.
Yeah, ready more.
Yeah, my question is to Ratina. So you said you took a decision to go to UK, right? So I just wanted to know, how did you convince your family?
Yeah, of course, that's a good question actually. Thank you for the question. So how would I convince is basically I had a clear, open discussion with my family, and as she rightly said, I made my support system. Okay, so we all say that it comes by default, but it doesn't come by default, by the way. That's something I always say, we have to ask for what we need. Okay, so sometimes the asking is always considered as a part of vulnerability. We are all vulnerable, so we need to ask for that support system. Probably it's like an investment to your business. You might be not gaining that much that particular time, but you need to arrange for. So I had a maid who can take it, and I ensured that my mother stays with my baby. And also I didn't complete the whole story actually. So Monday I used to travel in the morning. I used to come back on Thursday night. 3 days I used to be there. And after that, when my professor saw my small child, he said, go on Wednesday, it's okay. Okay, so that I would say that's it. And then when the project came in, they said, that time itself we had the system of online. So what I would say is that when you try to do something, the universe will conspire and make things work for you. And people will start supporting you. You will see that for yourself. Our main problem is we overthink too much, and we come up with all the excuses. Find that one reason, okay, that actually supports you at this point of time. Things will work. But again, don't hesitate to ask for help for people. And by the way, we all have this aiming for perfectionism. Something that as a mother, sometimes in the work definitely demands for it, but we need to fall somewhere, right? So nobody is going to give us an award for being the best mother, best wife, or whatever it is. Please, don't do that, okay? You, as she rightly mentioned, basically, we need to have our own me time. Okay, you ask support, love, or whatever it is that you're not getting from others, you ask yourself, self-love. Okay, you need to do that. But yes, of course, towards the children, we have some responsibilities because they're vulnerable, they're weak. So if you want planning to have babies, definitely that particular time, maybe, time now, that should not limit your career aspirations. You need to ask your husband. I say that I tamed my husband.
All right.
So I hope that I have answered your question.
Any other questions? Yes, Jesse.
You mentioned the importance of having a mentor in your life. So how do you select a mentor?
Okay, good question. Just look around, Jesse. You'll find a lot of people. Don't find it in one person. You cannot have everything in one person. You need a lot of mentors. See, it's basically how do you choose your role model? Okay, so who do you think has got that competency, that ability, is compassionate about it? So in an organization perspective, what I would say, create a system where there is mentors and mentors for everybody. Create a community or an ecosystem so that everybody can learn from that. But that's a commitment. Mentoring is a commitment actually towards each other. So that needs to work out. And I would also say that coaching is becoming very famous now. A coach is a compassionate support also. Because we not only need a technical enhancement, we also need a mental enhancement. The mental health is of greater importance. As she rightly said, there is a place where we can go to hit stones. I think, so we need to have that support system around. Okay, so you can create that, a pool of mentoring. So how many of you are ready to be a mentor here? Exactly. See, we have people. Anybody? Yeah, there she is. Identify. So it's all yours.
Any more questions? None from online. Anyone here has any questions? Okay, then I'll get to my last question for the day. We all have been talking a lot in terms of instances from the past, how do we learn from them and all that. Now, let's tune in a little bit towards the future. I think there's a generation, we all know that there's a generation that is coming up who's much, 3x or 10x more informed. They can talk about anything, be it on inclusion, gender diversity, anything for that matter on the drop of the hat. Now, how do we reiterate these learnings to them? I mean, how do you think we can create a better, inclusive society in the next gen with all the information that they have? Anyone can answer. I know we are not all of us restrict ourselves with just being professionals. We all have our families, we all have our next generation coming in.
So if I can take this question, let's accept the fact that whether it is social media or whatever happening around, along with information, there are a lot of misinformations. I call it as we are pregnant with information, okay? And which can actually distract you a lot. So let me ask you a quick question. We speak about the big data, right? We think that every data is there. Do you really think that all your potential abilities, your knowledge is there in the internet? Yeah, is there? Even the ChatGPT or Gemini, it can go wrong. You need to curate it. So what I would say, concentration is on the wisdom part of it. Okay, so certainly we all may make mistakes. We all have made mistakes. That is why we have exams from grade 1 itself. So we all go through that examination. However, my suggestions, when I tell both my boys also, one thing that you all are going to work with 5 generations. That's the biggest challenge for all of you youngsters. You know that? Because let me tell you, nobody is retired from this world. Starting from the traditional, that a 70-year-old are still working with you. Okay? They are still there. They have not retired from the world. You know the ministers, no? Okay? And I'm not talking about that part. Why? Because we need them. They have got a lot of wisdom. They are working as consultants. Do we have consultants? They are 70, 75 years. However, we need to be a better listener as youngsters, because of course technologically you might be knowing better. So in Microsoft perhaps you might know they have got this buddy system, and in the buddy system the elderly person having a younger person together. So we can adopt those kinds of culture as well, because they both learn from each other. The youngster would teach the technology, and perhaps the wisdom is again carried out to the next person. So it might not happen in a jerk, but you can bring in a culture where these kinds of community building, again a kind of open conversations happens, a debate. This is very important. The debate needs to be there about any topic. Okay, so for example, one of the youngsters should be sitting here also. Why not? Don't you think that we need to bring a paradigm shift for that matter? They need to be heard, they need to be felt, they need to be seen. Okay, so let's know the perspective then, because I teach in Kisat. Okay, I ask the question to my students, what is the message that you want to give us? What is the advice that you have for us? And the kind of perspective that comes in is amazing. You have a lot to learn from them also. So it's like a give and take for that matter. So that would be my kind of an approach towards youngsters. Let's be inclusive for them also. Why not? They know a lot of things. Let's learn from them. But at the same time, be sensitive about certain things. Try to draw the line. We need to know that. Thank you.
Anything from your side?
Yeah, regarding the younger generation, my experience is limited. I have a 7-year-old girl. So as ma'am said, they are too much flourished with information from this online platform and everything. We are also struggling to, even though we say we should maintain that a limit of watching the internet or using the internet, but still to a certain extent sometimes it gets out of our hands as well. But still, as ma'am said, definitely we need to make them inclusive as well. Even from the questions that I get from my daughter, I might have not even imagined, even in my teenage, such sort of things she is thinking, asking it as doubts, getting it clear. If she is not convinced with my answer, she will immediately say, let's mama, we'll ask to Google, we'll get an answer. So that's the generation. So we also have to change. I don't think we can change that. It's now how the world is going. So we have to be also adaptive and include them as well. Be a part of them. We have to be a part of them. Yeah, that's.
I very well relate to you when you say those are disturbing questions. I would say many of those questions apply to me, at least. Rina ma'am.
Yes. I basically feel open conversations should be there with the younger generation. I'll tell you a recent example. He has told me that I'm in Toastmasters. The Toastmasters, the first speech is to talk about yourself. You introduce yourself in around 400 words. It's quite easy, right? And I have done literally 10, 12 icebreakers. It's a piece of cake for me. Though I write and touch different aspects. So once when I was going, there was this girl from corporate. She is a new person, quite young. She told, I'm so new, I don't have a mentor, I don't have a mentee. I said, you really want to? She said, yes, of course, I don't mind being your mentee. A mentee. Then she said, oh ma'am, you're so senior. I said, it's okay, but I'd like to get a fresh perspective. Now this is in terms of a speech that I wrote. And I thought I had a brilliant opening of a speech. It said that I was so excited to meet my parents that I forgot to dress myself up. I know, nobody understood. I understood. I thought it was a brilliant opening for my icebreaker. Means I was born naked. That was what I was planning to say. And then I made the big icebreaker and I sent it to her and said, okay, you go through it and tell me. And then she just came, ma'am, I think you'll have to take off that first sentence.
Opening.
Because I had to read it twice or thrice to understand the meaning. I said, okay. So the thing is, I can go ahead and present that speech. Nobody is going to stop me from that. So whenever you have an open conversation with a person younger to you, you should also know what to take and what to leave, where to assert yourself and where to leave yourself. That is what matters. And I have conversations with my daughters. This is what they are technologically advanced. My daughter is doing her certificate in vulnerability assessment and cyber forensics. I am yet to learn to say that. And she is more into computers. And I used to tell that she was born to earth. TV is a father and computer is a mother. I don't figure out anyway. I'm not that. She's that kind of a person. And I'm a person who can't even make a simple flowchart of how to make tea. So these are the different end of spectrum, the spectrum I have in my home. I have to talk to her. And whenever we have this conversation, I have to do it. Sometimes I have to just step back and respect her. Sometimes I have to go and say that be assertive. And she is running a conference for the Toastmasters, around 500 people. She's running the entire conference, being the co-conference. So she comes back and tells me, can I do that? And I'm a person, if I take myself, I would call myself a Neanderthal, considered to her. I am in the Jurassic Park and she is somewhere in the Matrix, I would say, the red pill, blue pill kind of a thing. So that is what is also required for us. We know that we have a lot of wisdom. I've been there, I've done that. So that is where we make our conversations to our kids or to the younger generation, because we have more experience. But when is it that you have to put your foot down and assert yourself? When is it that you have to retreat? And that makes all the difference.
Thank you so much, ma'am. I think we talked about misinformation and we talked about open conversations. I don't think I can stress the importance of open conversations anymore, because I also have a teenager at home, so it makes a lot of difference. I think some of you at least were pulled into this, but the fact that you're still here and you're still listening and there is a smile coming on your face, you feel like clapping. I think that means that we have all been enriched, enlightened by the presence of our esteemed panelists here. I would say I start off with this question, should we take inclusivity into our hands and then do something, or we wait for it? The answer is pretty clear. We've got all the perspectives on table, starting from a story of grabbing an opportunity to travel to UK. Now the story of putting a plum into a big tank to assess the capacity or level of material in it. And we also heard of a wonderful support system which stood up to ensure that a person becomes successful. So I think my 2 cents as a parting or a closing note is that yes, you will hear inclusivity as a buzzword in the corporate, but we don't have to wait to hear that word and start acting on it. It's about each and every one of us. You yourself as a professional, no matter whether you're a male or a female, I think like one of our panelists said, it's about the individual, not about the gender. It doesn't matter, that's first point. Second thing, everybody call about the support system. And I would like to ask you a question in terms of who constitutes that support system, or who becomes that mentor. I think it is each and every one of us. We have a big role to play in our well-being and in the well-being of the people around us. So on that note, I would like to call it a day with respect to this panel discussion. Thank you so much once again for that wonderful presence. Now, I would invite Deepak, our head of marketing, and Reshma to hand over a little gift to our 2 guests.
Okay, by the way, thank you so much for this wonderful opportunity. And it was a pleasure meeting, Veena, of course, she's my friend. Okay, and you also, and others who have been hearing, listening, feeling. So thank you so much. And Deepak, you have been a wonderful moderator. Thank you so much. And happy Women's Day to everyone in advance. Yeah. Thank you. Deepak.
I hope you make use of what you eat. So
yes, of course.
I'm hearing to your right.
Okay.
as physical strength fighters.
Thank you for tuning in to the Nest Digital Podcast. We'll see you next time for another captivating episode. Until then, keep innovating, keep learning, and remember that the possibilities are limitless.